One of the audience would please take a moment and silence their cell phone. Please note this meeting is being taped by FCTV. I'd like to start the meeting by introducing members of the board. Starting at the audience's left, my far right, is Frank Duffy, who is a full voting member. Moving to the audience's right, next is Mark Finneran, who is a full voting member. My name is James Morse. I'm a full voting member, currently serving as chair. Next is Suzanne Murphy, who is a full voting member and currently serving as our clerk. Scott Peterson is the vice chairman and a full voting member. At the end is Tony Petrucci, who is an associate member. We are joined this evening by Ashley DeMello, who is our recording secretary. The Zoning Board of Appeals is charged with applying the state zoning statutes as well as the town zoning bylaws in reviewing and voting on applications. All decisions are made through the public hearing process. Our goal is to hear testimony from the applicants and the public to allow for a full and fair discussion of the project prior to rendering a decision. To begin each hearing, the clerk will read from the public announcement for the hearing and read pertinent information from the file. The applicant or applicant's attorney or representative will then have 15 minutes to make a presentation. Time may be extended by vote of the board. The board will then question the applicant. Next, the public will be invited to comment. Public comment should be directed only at the project. Please refrain from making personal or derogatory statements. Comments can include an opinion in favor or opposition or to ask a specific question about the project. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes. The chair will limit discussion in the interest of time if comments become repetitive. All members of the public wishing to speak should wait to be recognized by the chair, should come to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record. Please speak into the microphone. It does not amplify your voice, but it is provided for the benefit of FCTV viewers. The board may continue the hearing to a future date and time. Otherwise, when the board is satisfied that enough information has been presented to make a decision, the hearing will be closed. After the hearing is closed, no more testimony will be taken. The board shall discuss the proposal among themselves, then make a motion to approve or deny the application. The motion will be followed by a summary of key findings and conditions. The affirmative vote of 4 members, a supermajority, is required for the approval of special permits, variances, or appeals. A split vote, 3-2, is a failure to carry and would result in a denial. Any zoning board of appeals decision may be appealed as provided for in Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 17. And ladies and gentlemen, our late arrival is Mr. Jerry Patamus, who is an associate member of the board. First up on tonight's agenda is public comment. This public comment is for anything that is not specifically on this evening's agenda. Does any member of the public tonight wish to make a comment on something that is not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none. Next up, we have a continuation of hearing number 08323. Henderson, 9 Highview Drive, East Falmouth, requesting a special permit to remove the existing deck and construct a screen porch addition on the rear of the non-conforming dwelling.
Hi, Kevin. Hi. We have William and Mary Henderson, 111 Perkins Street, Jamaica Plain, Mass. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Section 240-102A, Code of Falmouth, to remove the existing deck and construct a screen porch addition at the rear of the non-conforming dwelling on subject property known as 9 Highview Drive, East Falmouth. And from Town Hall, we have the Assessor's Office has no comment. The Planning Board has no comment. Conservation has no jurisdiction, therefore no comment. And Engineering. We have this application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way and public utilities. Highview is a public right-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way will require filing a permit with the Engineering Division. 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities will require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or public rights-of-way. Dry wells are shown on the plan as we typically recommend. 5, where there is a small lot and the proposed work is close to abutting properties with the existing fencing, proposed work area location, and lot grades, it appears that erosion and sedimentation should not be an issue with the normal construction practices. However, the contractor should be held responsible for implementing erosion and sediment controls if conditions change. We recommend the following condition be included in any approval. Quotations, construction activity shall not cause erosion to or sedimentation to the abutting properties or town right-of-way. End of quotation. And we have 1 letter in favor.
And on this hearing this evening will be the regular voting members. For the applicant, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kevin Clower. I'm an attorney here in Falmouth, and I'm before you this evening representing Bill and Mary Henderson, the owners of 9 Highview Drive. Mr. Henderson is here with us tonight. They are seeking permission to create a modest addition to the existing non-conforming dwelling on this property. 9 Highview is located off of Shorewood Drive, the northern portion of Great Pond. This lot is 7,500 square feet, and it is in the Residential C zoning district. Presently, there's a 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling. The footprint's just under 1,100 square feet. It's 15% lot coverage. It is marginally non-conforming. The front yard setback is 24.2 feet, where 25 is required, and the side yard setback to the east is 9.4 feet, where 10 is required. The owners are seeking to improve the dwelling. They proposed a 3-season screen porch at the rear, a portion of which will be over the existing deck and patio. This proposal is a modest addition on the southern side of the dwelling, the rear of the home, and it's below the existing ridge height. The existing ridge height is 14 feet, 7.5 inches. As proposed, the ridge of the addition will be 12 feet, 6.5 inches. Resulting lot coverage by structure will be 1,291 square feet, which is 17%, well under the 20% that's allowed. The number of bedrooms will remain the same at 4. Despite the proposal being entirely conforming, it does add habitable space on a lot of less than 20,000 square feet, and therefore requires a special permit from this board pursuant to section 240-10.2A. That section states that pre-existing non-conforming structures may be amended by special permit, provided this board finds that what is proposed is not substantially more detrimental than what exists, and asks you to consider the standards of 240-12.1 and whether or not the alteration creates any new dimensional nonconformities, impairs views and vistas, and reasonably conforms to the neighborhood. In this case, as we've noted, there's no new nonconformity created. The existing nonconforming setbacks are unaffected. There's no change to the views and vistas, and it very much conforms to the neighborhood. The project, as proposed, represents an improvement for the owners and is by no means substantially more detrimental than what exists. The existing non-conforming setbacks to the front and side are not affected. There's no adverse effects, and certainly none that would overbalance the benefits to the homeowner. I believe that this meets all of the requirements of 240-10.2A and 240-12.1E, and I'd be happy to address any questions that the board might have at this point.
Board questions. Start with you, Tony.
I have no questions.
Scott?
Seems like a good project, no questions.
Suzanne?
I have one about how many rooms that don't have the wide doors. We need to eliminate a doorway, a traditional doorway. It looks like it to me on the plan. I don't.
So this is the existing. We have the living room, we have 3 bedrooms over here. I said 4, I think I might have said 4, but there's 3 bedrooms shown over here and then a kitchen. What's proposed is exactly the same. The only difference is there's this addition coming off the rear.
Now, the workshop and the office, those both have wide doors?
That's Mara Vista.
That's.
Oh, it's Mara Vista. Oh,
Wrong
Lord.
set of blueprints.
Wrong set of,
Round one.
wrong set
I'm
of
like,
plans.
I don't know about an
Like, what is
office
she
and a
talking
workshop.
about? Sorry.
Could have answered the
comment.
question.
No questions. It's a good project.
Never mind.
Sorry. I did too much homework today.
I have no questions.
I woke up thinking it was Saturday, so, I mean, that's how my day's gone.
Nothing.
Right?
All set? All set.
Public comment.
High view, not Mara Vista.
Not far.
Board discussion?
I have no comment.
Motion to close.
We have a motion to close. Mr. Finneran, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Suzanne. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Hearing is closed. No more testimony will be taken. How would the board like to proceed?
Motion to approve with conditions?
Is there a second? I think that's
Second here.
Mr. Finneran. Findings.
Findings, High View. It's in an RC district. It's on Great Pond. It's S&R overlay. The lot size is 7,500. I have existing 15 with the dwelling and 15.9 with everything, and proposed is 17 and 17.9. Is that correct, Kev?
So we actually submitted a revised plan last week that just corrected the
I did
existing
read-
and proposed numbers. So it's currently 15% lot coverage by structures, 19 by structures, paving, and parking, going to 17% by structures and 22% by structures, paving, and parking.
Oh, okay. 19 and 22, okay.
We could make this simple, just say it's, lot coverage is still by right, despite
Right.
the addition.
I have the height in the main part of the house is 15.8, the addition 12.6. That's about all I have, 240, 102A,
Not more detrimental.
yeah.
The site is adequate and suitable. There's no increase on traffic, no impact in visual character. The addition, the ridge height of the addition is below the ridge height of the main house. No impact on sewer or septic. It conforms to the character of the neighborhood. Lot coverage is remaining within by right limits. There is no bedroom increase. The proposed alteration will be completely in conformity with setbacks. There is an existing nonconformity as to front yard and side setbacks. There is no increase in the nonconformity. Not more detrimental. Any other conditions?
No.
Oh, excuse me, findings, any additional conditions?
My plan.
Per plans, standard hours of work, incorporate town referrals. Expansion shall not be a bedroom, ultimately result in a bedroom conversion. Engineering comments, property to remain 3 bedrooms. Any concern from the board about traffic plan or needing to work with the police? Do you want to incorporate that, or are people satisfied?
It's dead end. Plenty of parking in the front lawn anyway.
Anything else?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is a vote, 5-0.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate your time and apologize for the confusion over the staking at the last hearing.
Next on the agenda, we have new hearings. First up is 08523 Sellers, 606 West Falmouth Highway, West Falmouth, an appeal of the building commissioner's determination.
We have 2 letters in this folder, one for and one against. I don't need to open up anything here, right?
So this is an administrative appeal pursuant to Chapter 40A, Section 8. Notice has been given to abutters. If you want to perhaps read into the decision of the determination of the building commissioner.
This one?
Yep.
Okay, I have a letter from Gary Street. Dear Board of Appeals, this letter is submitted. This is the November one. Is that,
Yes.
yes? Okay. The letter is submitted in support of this letter is submitted in support of my decision not to take enforcement action dated August 15th, 2023. The photographs submitted to this department with the enforcement request show the location of the landscaping on site are compliant with the location called for by the plan. Attached an excerpt of the plan. The highlighted portion encircles the gap in the landscaping shown in the photos. They match. Our site visit on July 19th, 2023, confirmed the location of the landscaping. Based on the photos, the plan, the site visit, the allegation, and the appeal that the landscaping location does not match the plan is incorrect. Our team was unable to ascertain sufficient information from our observations as to whether the landscaping on-site matches the type on the plan. We did observe that the site fulfilled the screening purpose of the landscaping on the plan on account of its location. In our view, enforcement action was not warranted. That's Gary Street Building Commissioner.
So just to remind the board, as well as the appellant, the appeal is confined to the determination of the building inspector, or building official, excuse me, regarding the screening issue. For the appellant, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. Paul Sellers, 16 Old Dock Road. And thank you for hearing this case again. I was before you back in April when you made the unanimous decision to uphold the order of conditions for the screening. And in July of this year, no plantings were done, but the Hamblin House condominiums exaggerated the cutting and the hole, diminishing the screening effort. I know that the building commissioner's comments regarding the types of plant material that are there, he unfortunately has overlooked that certain elements of the plant material still have not been installed, specifically the 3 4 to 5 foot American cedars, that if they were installed and had been installed, as according to the plan, would have provided the continuous screening that we were looking for in that situation. So I know that the Hamblin House has also submitted a letter suggesting that this hasn't been an ongoing issue. It's only been in the recent last few years. But the history of this whole easement screening and the access screening has been going on since June of 2005, when all of the information I'm about to tell you is in the record, in the file. 2005, we had the agreement with the Hamblin House Condominium Builders LLC and the owner of the property to provide the screening for that right-of-way area, specifically to block access. In March of 2007, there's an email from the Hamblin House LLC seeking their occupancy permit, and they're reiterating that they wouldn't complete the screening of the right-of-way, and that fencing and screening was installed to prevent any use of the residents of 606 West Falmouth Highway. So the integrity and the continuation of the screening is a critical part of that. In June of 2009, my email to Sari Boudreau expressed concern of the plant material that was installed. She responded right after, on June 12th of 2009, saying that the applicant made the effort to close off the driveway access. It appears to have sufficiently blocked off the access from the site to your driveway. 2013, we had a breach in the screening. Hole was made by removal of some of the growth, and at that point, a violation was submitted, and the Hamblin House was ordered to replant that in 2013. I'm not going to go over the 2018, 2020, and 2023 information because you're pretty well aware of that. I think the problem with the enforcement of any of the issues with the screening is how specific the board is and how that's written up. For whatever reason, the building inspector isn't recognizing the differences in the plant material that were not introduced that would have made a difference in providing that continuity of the screening. So I would ask if the board would entertain in their decision to specify that certain plant material be put into the breach that was created. Recommendation would be at a minimum 4 to 5 foot viburnum dentatums, the arrowwood viburnums that are part of that screening now, and that would eliminate the whole. And I can answer any questions if you have them.
Questions from the appellant? Start with you, Jerry.
You're an arborist, right?
I am.
I was out there and I did notice those weren't cedar trees because they're, and they're only about 3 or 4 feet high. Are those trees inkberry?
Those are the viburnum dentatum, the arrowwood viburnums.
Okay, so,
The majority of the plant material in that shrubbery screen.
but you agree that according to this plan, I guess this is the plan of record, the cedars were not planted.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Frank?
I went out there a couple times and took a look, and I don't think I have any questions. I think Mr. Sellers has described the situation. I've seen the plans, so I'm all set.
Mark?
No, I'm good.
I'm all set.
Set, thank you.
Tony?
I just want to clarify something. Definitely, the 3 cedars are missing. I was out there this week. I'm looking at a picture of it right here. I'm not sure I understood what you said about the viburnum. You want more viburnum, or?
Well, as an alternative, if the cedars aren't going to be planted, at least that breach in the right-of-way that's been created, that should be filled in with at least a similar plant material that exists in the rest of the screening.
Why not just go with what the plan says, and that's 3 cedar trees?
That's fine,
They
too.
have to be 5 to 6 feet as when planted, and if they're eastern reds, they'll grow relatively quickly and fill up that space.
Correct.
Okay.
Public comment? Ma'am?
Evening, Linda Pogue, 606 West Falmouth Highway. I'm an owner in the Captain Hamlin Condo Association, and I want to speak tonight to the stress the time and money that I've experienced over this situation that has us back yet again in front of you. There are 9 units with 4 full-time year-round residents, average age 62. I've been living here 12 years. About 6 years ago, we started experiencing uncomfortable interactions with several of the abutters, which culminated earlier this year in a hearing here with the Old Dock Condo Association. It was at that hearing when this board acknowledged it was beyond your authority to restrict Captain Hamlin Condo Association owners from using our own driveway as an egress onto the right-of-way. I won't go on with what the letter said earlier and what Mr. Sellers said. Because this situation had continued for so many years and got ever more complicated, we felt it necessary to seek legal counsel. We're not a wealthy association, and if you've passed by our 185-year-old great gray lady, you'd see that it demands ongoing and very expensive structural repairs. So paying thousands of dollars for the much-needed legal counsel was a financial burden. And if this board rules that the Captain Hamlin Condo Association must add landscaping to any specifications or offense, please know respectfully that the cost may be something we just won't have to spare. So now for a second time, this board is being asked to weigh in again, this time on whether the landscaping screening is acceptable to the sellers. And I have to add on a very personal level, while there are wars being fought and people dying over territories and borders, I just don't know how this can matter any longer. And I ask you to put this matter to rest by denying the sellers their appeal. Thank you.
Other public comment?
I just want to note that there are 2 of the trustees for the Captain Hamlin Condo House Association are here. I don't think won't waste your time reiterating what we put in our letter, but we request that you enforce or support the building inspector's determination that the screening is adequate. The purpose of the plantings was to screen the right-of-way. The building inspector was charged with making a determination by this board. He's made his determination. He's reiterated that he thinks it's correct, as do we. Thank you. I think I forgot to tell you my name.
You did.
Julie Malloy. Sorry
Thank you,
about
ma'am.
that. I'm nervous.
I'm Deb Shearer, usually my husband making the noise, but tonight I'd like to speak to this question. It's pretty clear on your decisions, your previous decisions, and on that landscaping plan, that regardless of what is planted, it's supposed to go all the way across. There is not supposed to be a hole that can be navigated by the tenants, the owners of the Captain Hamlin House Trust. I don't know how the building inspector missed that hole. It's about 5 feet wide. If he thinks that leaving that hole there, it's still in compliance, I think we need a new building inspector. Anyway, I would like you to realize that the question is, are they building some sort of barrier all the way across? And at the moment, the answer is no. So we would ask you to deny the building inspector's claims that it's in compliance and try once again to have your rulings and our appeals upheld by the building commissioner.
Hi, I'm Rob Rogers. I'm with Julie, another of the trustees of Captain Hamlin, and I'm a relatively new owner. But we do, maintain our property. shrubbery that's there, that's is a barrier as required, needs to be maintained. Now, I don't know how we're supposed to get to that, to maintain the plantings that are on our property if there isn't a way to get out. I don't, now, the history of this is that there were cars that came in and out of the barn that was an antique store, and so there's a restriction to car traffic, but one of the things you need an opening for, one of them, is a way to get out to be able to maintain the plantings. So, if there were, what is now 40-foot trees that were planted in Mr. Sellers' property 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that are now, 40 feet tall or whatever they are. Now, if we were going to plant the same things all the way across, how do you trim them and clean them and, whatever? You can't get out there.
Excuse me. Can you describe your maintenance process? What you do to maintain?
Well, I mean, we were out the few days before the visit took place to inspect. We cleared out, weeding and topped them, leveled them, and trimmed on both sides of the shrubbery.
40 feet up?
No. I can't. I tried to. I would also spend time pulling vines out of the 40 feet.
Well, the
I don't know
tops are-
how to do that one. I don't want 40. I don't think we should have 40-foot trees.
So you
Which-
don't top the trees, as you just said?
No, I'm not. That end is in front of Mr. Sellers' house. But the area that's in question is a lower, 5-foot set of bushes that form a barrier, and then there's a hole at the end of the fence where you can get out. It happens to be 3 or 4 or 5 feet. I don't know. It can be whatever.
Depending on how you maintain it?
Yeah.
To get the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, it allows you to be able to walk through. And I happen to, like to walk and get exercise. So I like to go out there and onto that right of way and go to the bike path. And I guess they're saying that I can't go out there. But and that's been settled, that we can go out there. So, and how do I maintain the property if there isn't a hole?
Seems like the only maintenance going on is at the hole.
No. The entire, there's about, I don't know, is it 30?
I don't see that space anywhere else except on the end
Right,
in question.
right. So what, we're supposed to fill that in, and then how do we get out there to maintain our property?
I think they're looking for space to fit a wheelbarrow.
It's
or
about a wheelbarrow.
Something like that.
5-foot wheelbarrow?
Mr.
It's a
Patamas, you had a
wheelbarrow.
question?
Yeah, yes. We had heard previously from Mr. Sellers.
Yeah.
He's an arborist, that the plantings, that you do not have cedar plantings. What type of plantings do you have, and did you get permission to change this plan from the Zoning Board of Appeals? Because this is the plan of record. And the building inspector acknowledged he didn't have knowledge of the type of plantings, but that plantings were done.
Well, 20 years ago, they didn't put in the trees that have now become 40-foot tall. I'm not a big fan of 40-foot tall pine trees that are surround Mr. Selly's property. I mean, he likes, this,
Do you think they give better privacy than what's there now? When I went by, it was a bush.
Huge privacy. I mean, you can surround yourself by 40-foot trees, but what's the privacy? It's not even in front of his house.
Okay.
I mean.
Thank you.
So can I just answer one more thing?
Yes.
May I? When you ask us questions on what kind specifically of plantings and how we maintain it, that happened in 2007 with the developers. Rob is new. I've been there since 2012. I can't tell you what kind of shrubs those are. I have no clue, and I think being an arborist almost doesn't matter. What the plans were in 2005, 2007, we've come before you before this and past it. It's a little pathway that we're talking about, so there seems to be two things. One, are we doing the kind of plans that was based on whatever plan was done with the developers in 2007? Don't know. And two, are we doing it all the way across, which seems to be in contention, and the building commissioner thought that small space was fine. It's not 5 feet, it's just about this wide. And we keep up the property there like we do our entire landscaping. We try to keep it tidy, we try to keep it in proportion, and so all the details on what kind of plans we have, we don't have the answers to. And I just want to stress one more time, being assigned what kind of plantings or fencing is a cost that I don't think this panel has any right to really decide for us. So I understand the question of, are we doing the screening enough? We've gotten certification that it is. And I would just love this matter to be put to rest. It's just a little border, so.
Follow-up question.
Yep.
Do you have any objection to hiring your own arborist to look at these plans and certify that what you planted is what is on this plan? Because that's the question before this board, not the whole, where he said he couldn't enforce it, and we understand that. We're talking about the plantings. If you have an arborist that you want to bring in to disagree with Mr. Sellers, maybe we should continue, I don't know.
We don't have an arborist. I don't think we want to pay to have one, and I'm
Okay.
sure that our plantings are not what the plan probably said.
Okay.
So that, to me, doesn't seem to be the point, but we're not hiring arborists. We're trying to manage our funds, and so that's what we're trying to do, being respectful of our neighbors, which is what we've done from day one.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? I'm going to have one follow-up. Oh, go ahead, ma'am.
If I
Briefly.
may, I apologize. To answer the question, what I'd like to say is the time to appeal what went in was when these plants went in 2007. The Sellers have lived at their property. I believe they built their home in about 2001 or so. They've been there, they're driven there in and out every single day, every time they come home to or leave from their property. If someone had a complaint about the types of shrubbery, and there's a rhododendron, I believe the others are inkberry. The time to complain about that was long before now. That horse left the barn a good long time ago. The building inspector has said that the screening, the existing shrubbery provides sufficient screening. The purpose of the landscape plan was to create screening, to screen that parking lot area from the right-of-way. That's all it was for. It was not to block our access to our property. That right-of-way behind there is our property, belongs to the Captain Hamlin house. It is subject to a right-of-way for Mr. Sellers and the Sellers property alone to pass over. It's the only property that goes beyond there to his property. There's another house before that that sort of ends where the 4 Old Dock Road and 606 West Falmouth Highway meet. There is one less than 3-foot wide pathway along a fence that the Old Dock Road has put up along their property boundary and ours, and the rhododendron. The rhododendron is taller than I am by at least 1.5 feet. You know, there's sufficient screening. And if different shrubbery should have been planted, well, that should have been done a long time ago. Thank you.
I'm Stephen Ladd. I'm a trustee of the Old Dock Road Condominium Association. As I understand it, and as the Zoning Board of Appeals understands it, the special permit does require a vegetative screen. It's too late for the Captain Hamlin House to challenge a condition that was agreed to by a previous owner of the property. Further to that end, the Zoning Board of Appeals enforcement of a condition imposed in a previous special permit does not constitute impermissible taking. I imagine that the Zoning Board of Appeals is probably as frustrated as the abutters that this matter is in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a second time this year over the same issue relating to 606 West Falmouth Highway and the building commissioner. As we've previously requested at the hearing for case 00323, I again ask now that the Zoning Board of Appeals considers requiring a permanent wood fence be installed and maintained along
Within our jurisdiction, sir. I do.
Okay, fine. Listening to the sob stories, not having enough money, not having any control over the plants that weren't planted years ago, in my mind, is completely irrelevant. There is easily a 5-foot hole there. The grass is mowed. The clydes of the rhododendron are clipped. The rhododendron isn't even supposed to be there. If you had planted the 5 to 6 foot trees that were implicated in that plan back when they were supposed to be planted, they'd probably be 15, 20 feet tall right now, and there wouldn't even be an issue. We couldn't be standing here because they couldn't possibly get through there. That plan was okayed years ago. The fact that it hasn't been implemented is the same reason that we come in front of you every 2, 3, or 4 years. If it gets done, and gets done the way it was supposed to be, and gets enforced, this whole thing will disappear. You know, I don't know how you and the town of Falmouth can put up with this, quite frankly. I mean, it makes you really wonder whose side legality is. I mean, who cares what's going on in the world right now? This sob story about not enough money, you can hire lawyers, and you tell me you haven't got enough money to plant 3 trees? I'm sorry.
Ma'am?
Good evening, Board. Maury Harlow Hawks, 9 Old Dock Road. And I wasn't going to speak. I think you've beaten this horse enough. We all have. The non-compliance in any of these special permits is in perpetuity. It doesn't matter that somebody didn't do it today, or it sold, or it changed hands. We live around so many non-conforming places. We have many buildings. I've watched you on TV. I've come to enough of these hearings. You take the time and the thoughtfulness to put special conditions on. The reason they're called special conditions for the zoning board is because they're not by right. These are projects that have needed a special permit to get what they wanted. And they were able to get them because of butters. All of the butters for the Captain Hamlin house when it was originally done, even in '79 before it was a condominium, worked together as a neighborhood to have these wonderful projects. Old Dock Road Trust, West Wind, all of these projects in West Falmouth have taken a lot of time and effort amongst the community and the neighbors and the applicants to come up with a really good project through this board. And that's how the process works. When one side or the other starts to ignore the way it was supposed to be, then we have to come to these hearings and waste more time. I could sit down with this board and go over many violations at the Captain Hamlin house. They're not important to me right at the moment. I'm supporting my neighbors that want the screening. I don't see the screening area, but I'm here to support them because I'm tired of the disrespect for this board when they make a finding and the applicants ignore it, and then they take time for lawyers, for the expense for everybody. Mrs. Pogue just said how expensive it is to hire lawyers. Just do your job. Just do what you were told. Put the 2 Acer rubrum up. Put the entire row of scintillation rhododendrons along the fence. Nobody's asking you to do that. We're just asking for the screen to protect my cousin, who I'm sorry is not here, Donna Adamai. She has cancer and she couldn't come tonight. That's who doesn't get the screening, because she can't squawk, because she doesn't come to these. And I'm here as her voice, because the small little house that is across from where the little hole is, that it's not the hole. That hole is not used for maintaining. That hole is used for an access. As Mr. Rogers just said, he likes to exercise and walk up there to go to the bike path. It's the same amount of steps to go out to 28A and go on a sidewalk, across a crosswalk to a sidewalk to get there. So that screening, their maintenance, if you want to go there right now, the roses are hanging over because they haven't been overdoing that, but they clipped that path so that they can walk out, go up the lane, and it has nothing to do with maintaining their shrubbery. So I would just pray to gosh that this board would be respected a little bit more by the people who ask for their special permits and the abutters who support these projects and expect it to be enforced.
We're not going to have a back and forth about allegations, ma'am. What, briefly, ma'am?
The question here isn't whether or not we egress our own property and we pay taxes on. That was decided last time where it was past your jurisdiction. It really is just about the screening. So if we want to walk out, to walk to the bike path for whatever reason, we're entitled to do that, as this board understood that you don't have any jurisdiction to deny that. This is just about the screening, so I just wanted to clarify that.
One follow-up question for the appellant, Mr. Sellers, if that's all right. Is it your expectation that the screening is to provide privacy screening, or is your expectation that the screening is to essentially prevent use of the way there?
Both. That's the way it is detailed in the record throughout the file. It is for access, blocking access, and for privacy.
Thank you.
A follow-up question. Do you understand that the building commissioner in the previous permit said he doesn't have the resources to monitor that 24/7? So that, you know, if they use that access, and he's not there and no one's putting up a camera, the town has no way to enforce that access.
No, we realize that,
Okay.
that's the access, physical access issue at this point is a civil issue.
Okay.
But the screening, the requirement of the screening still is not diminished by any way in the order conditions or the content of what it was meant to be. So that should not, in my opinion, diminish the size of the screening. It should still be in continuity throughout the whole stretch of the easement.
Thank you.
You're an arborist, no better person to ask the question than. Their maintenance seems to only be on the end, in that, which I would call at least a 5-foot opening. If that weren't touched, in your experience, how long would it be before that tree grew right over to the fence?
Actually, that area had been enclosed by the growth of the viburnums and the adjacent privet from 4 Old Dock Road condominiums. So there was really hardly any space. I believe I filed photographs of the before and after, which depict and show clearly that there was a grow-in situation finally taking place after the 2020 cutting that had happened. So it wouldn't take much to fill in the void, as I suggested with.
But I mean, just with the tree that's there, if it weren't trimmed or maintained.
At this point, it'd probably take about 3 years, I would suspect, so.
And then it would be screening as intended.
Yes.
Any follow-up questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
More discussion.
I'll start off. I think it's unfortunate, I understand both sides, but I don't think they're in compliance with our permit for the screening, not for the access. That's been put to bed, that they don't meet the screening plan. And the ZBA enforcement officer acknowledged that he had no ability to determine the type of plantings and so on and so forth. He saw what we all saw. At the end there's some smaller vegetation that, in my mind, doesn't provide screening like the cedar would. Thank you.
Frank?
We're dealing with the plan of 1950, excuse me. What's the date of the plan we're looking at?
2007?
2008, oh, yeah, right. The plan dated September 15, 2008. And that's the plan we ordered the building commissioner to enforce the last time. And I went out there today, I've been out there several times, and looking at that plan and looking at the situation on the ground, they don't match. As Mr. Sellers pointed out early in his presentation, there are a representation that there are 3 cedars to be planted. They're not there. There was another thing I noted, looking at the file upstairs in the office. Back in 2005, there was a case 5405, and one of the conditions, condition number 2, said a revised plan showing screening at the right-of-way shall be submitted to the ZBA prior to issuance of a building permit. Now, if they had submitted a plan that showed something different and a building permit had issued, there might be some argument here, but apparently that plan was never filed. At least I haven't seen it upstairs. I don't think it's in the file. So therefore, we're dealing with the plan of September 15, 2008. It shows 3 cedar trees. They're not there. I would direct the building inspector to take a look at that and enforce the plan as the plan exists, not whether he thinks it's sufficient, but does it comply with the plan.
Mr. Vinner?
Well, I think if they stop maintaining the end differently than the rest, this problem would go away in 3 years. And that certainly's passed since 2008, plus a couple.
Yep.
The 2008 plan does still show an opening in the 3 cedars.
But we're talking about the cedars.
Yeah,
Okay, not the opening.
they're both, all of them are right in the corner there.
No, but the 3 cedars
Right.
are along the right of way.
Right, they're not there.
And they're not there?
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, if you had a plan of as it looked today, it'd be substantially different than that, because,
'Cause the
I mean,
rhododendron-
anybody that puts a tree knows it's gonna grow.
Look at the little rhododendron there back in 2008.
Mark?
No,
Scott?
we've
Mark,
chatted
it's
about
my
this enough.
puzzle.
We've had enough, folks get up and voice their opinion. I'm pretty much, it's here in black and white. I'd love to see the 3 cedar trees planted and for this to stop itself. So that's it.
Tony?
I'd like to see the end of this, and I think that the special permit should be enforced, the conditions of that special permit. Definitely 3 cedar trees missing, 3 cedar trees at least 5 to 6 feet tall should be planted.
I'd like to see conditions enforced. However, I'm looking for a continuance. I'd like to hear from the building inspector about how he came to the determination
I would too.
of this was appropriate. It may change my vote, or it may not, but I think we need a continuance. I'd like to have more information about this.
I agree.
Mr. Chair? I don't disagree about the building commissioner, but wouldn't the tree warden be a more appropriate person?
No.
Frank's saying
The
no.
other reason
Okay.
is, the other issue is that
He's the enforcing officer.
as to the
Oh, I just meant to, okay, never mind. He's not the enforcement
It's
officer.
not the enforcement officer. This is the two officials who went out to enforce.
Okay.
It's the zoning enforcement officer as well as the building official. The other question I've got that I think would need to be referred to town council is about, to review the decision, in their opinion, is the screening for the purposes of privacy, or is the screening for the purposes of, or whether or not we need to take this up as to prohibition of the use of the way?
I thought that was settled. I thought it was
It
just
is, but
screening.
the testimony tonight is that it's there for two reasons. So I'd like town
Okay.
council to weigh in on this after reviewing the decisions if necessary.
Do you have any ability to
Isn't,
restrict their maintenance or?
No, at this point, no. I think that's beyond what the appeal is, and we can't change conditions. That would be requiring somebody to do something that's not before us.
Trim in the end makes it not a screen.
I think we could offer guidance, but we can't require something, so.
yeah, so let's get the building commissioner in here and
Yeah, or it needs to be.
see if he can answer the questions.
What's the earliest date we have available?
December 7th.
December 7th? Is there a motion to continue to December 7th? Oh, we're not going to get into a constructive grant of, or denial of the appeal as a result of that date, just for the record?
No, the 100 days is on
Okay.
the top of that, and I believe it's December 22nd.
All right, I just-
Top of the file.
Is there a motion to continue?
So moved.
Set to December 7th? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, I'm sorry, I should have announced at the beginning of the hearing, the regular voting members are on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continued to December 7th. Hopefully we'll have the building inspector here that night.
Gary's in here.
Yes,
Listed.
yes, both ones.
Suzanne?
You said there were 2 letters in the file?
Want to read them?
No, when I got home tonight, after I ate at 5:45, there were more submissions.
For this?
Yeah,
Hearing's closed.
November, that was November 1st was yeah,
They're still in session. so.
yeah, it's still 2 days beforehand. That's,
Don't confuse me. I'm
no,
sorry.
well, that needs to be discussed.
Next up on the agenda, we have hearing 08723 O'Connor, 290 Mara
Oh, I
Vista
can have
Avenue,
my-
T-ticket,
my-
requesting a special permit to raise the existing non-conforming dwelling, replace foundation, and construct an addition.
All right, we have Paul and Susan O'Connor, 19 North Drive, Fiskdale, Mass. I don't know where that is. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special
Sturbridge.
permit. Is that where it is? Sturbridge area?
Part of Sturbridge.
Probably lovely right now this time of year. Applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Section 240-102A of the Code of Falmouth to raise the existing non-conforming dwelling, replace the foundation, and construct an addition. The subject property is 290 Mara Vista Ave, T-Ticket, Mass. And from Town Hall, we have Planning has no comment, Fire Department, no comment, and we have Engineering. This application was reviewed for impacts to public rights-of-way and public utilities. Both Mara Vista and Maple Street are on public rights-of-way in this area. No alterations are proposed to the right-of-way. Any changes within the right-of-way would require filing a permit with the Engineering Division. 2, any connections or alterations to public utilities would require permission from the appropriate town department. 3, the project must not direct any stormwater runoff to public property, abutters, or public right-of-way. 4, erosion controls are shown on the plan and appear to be adequate to protect abutting properties and the public right-of-way. We recommend the following condition be included in any approval. Quotation, construction of this project shall follow the town's soil erosion and sediment control standard conditions. Document can be found on the Engineering Division's page of the town website. References to the Department of Public Works Engineering Division shall be replaced with Zoning Board of Appeals, who will be the permitting authority. 5, it appears that the cobble edging is located within the public rights-of-way. Installation of these objects not owned by the town located within the municipal right-of-way typically require a license from the Select Board. We defer to the Zoning Board of Appeals if this matter should be addressed prior to any approval or as a condition in any approval. That was engineering. Concom has no jurisdiction. Board of Health has nothing, and we're good.
We didn't receive a wastewater referral.
We did not receive wastewater referral, correct. And there are no letters.
For the applicant, good evening.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Chair, members of the board, my name's Dana Wessel. I own North Star Construction, located right here in Falmouth. I'm here tonight with Paul and Sue O'Connor. They're the owners of 290 Mara Vista, which is the subject of this application. 290 Mara Vista is located on the corner of Mara Vista Avenue and Maple Street. It's an 840-square-foot, single-story ranch with 2 bedrooms existing. It's in a Residence C zone. It is not in a floodplain, and it is serviced by the municipal sewer. We're seeking a special permit under Section 240-10.2 to raise the house, that's R-A-I-S-E, not R-A-Z-E, to raise the house, install a new foundation, add a 10-foot by 9-foot addition, which will include a stairway to service the new basement area. Then propose to install a family room, bedroom, office, and a bathroom for a grand total of 840 square feet additional. That will include 1 bedroom and an office, but the office doesn't meet the technical definition of a bedroom because it doesn't have some of the attributes that a bedroom would require. But because the property is serviced by the municipal sewer, it is allowed to have 4 bedrooms by right. So for the purpose of this application and for the building permit, I would just put it in as a 4-bedroom, although the intended use of that other room is for an office. It just probably should be. In the past, putting rooms in basements and the requirements for secondary means of egress and for emergency egress, the Board of Health, before it was on the sewer, would sort of reverse engineer the rooms and say, well, it's not a bedroom because it doesn't have the required egress, or it's not a bedroom because the ceiling height's like. But in this case, because it's allowed, we would just like to seek approval for 4 bedrooms. The existing location has 2 pre-existing nonconformities. The first is the front setback to Mara Vista, 18.6 to the house and 13.6 to the front step. The front yard setback requirement is 25 feet. And the second nonconformity is lot coverage. The existing lot coverage is 20.8%, and the proposed is 20.7%, and there's a slight reduction because of the removal of a shed and the removal of a chimney. We're sort of trading that for the 10 by 9 addition. Seeking approval under Section 240-10.2, non-conforming structures. Instructs that pre-existing non-conforming structures or uses may be extended, altered, or changed by special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any such change, extension, or alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming use or structure. Zoning bylaws then give some guidance as to how the board may determine whether or not the structure may be considered more detrimental. And that is whether the extension or alteration extends or creates new dimensional nonconformities, impairs views or vistas, or does not reasonably conform to the average dimensions found in the neighborhood. So with that, an application that includes an increase in lot coverage or lot coverage over 20%, the application requires that we include a lot coverage worksheet which identifies the surrounding properties, the size, amount of bedrooms, and lot coverage of those properties. I've included that in the package. That list includes 14 immediate adjacent properties. Those 14 properties are all properties that are immediately across the street on either side, abutting the direct rear of the property, and a couple houses down on each side road. Out of those 14 properties, 9 of those properties are the same size as the subject property, which is 4,800 square feet. 100% of those 9 properties currently exceed over 20%. If you divide if you add up the percent lot coverages and divide them by the amounts to get an average, the average of all of the abutting surrounding properties on the worksheet would give you an average of 22% lot coverage. Our proposed lot coverage is 20.7. We also do not propose to increase the nonconformity of the setbacks. The side and rear conform. The proposed height is less than half of what is allowed by right at 16.2 with the allowed height of 35 feet. The comments that came from engineering sort of indicate that they're kicking the can down the road to you guys, and I think that the cobblestone edging is actually an improvement to the property. It would be a shame to take that out. I think it complements it goes along, if you've seen the pictures, it goes along the front of the property against where the sidewalk is, and it looks quite nice.
That's a Board of Selectmen issue. It's not us.
Well, then,
Well,
okay.
It's just not us.
Yeah.
Something that we can condition and have in the past.
Yeah, but they didn't, I've been involved in projects where they have made the condition, and they've said, well, the fence is on the property, take it down, or this, that, and the other, and they didn't do this in this case, and, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or read it that far into things, but it almost seems as though they're sort of kind of letting it go, because it looks nice. But that's all I have for this. I hope that you find that the addition of this usable square footage without increasing any of the nonconformities and reusing the existing house is a good project, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
What questions? Start with Tony.
Quick question before we start.
Yes.
Does John DeSangro still have any interest in your company?
No.
That's not relevant, Mr. Patamas.
Well, it could be a
Absolutely not
conflict,
relevant,
it's
and
a
the question will
conflict
be
of
struck
interest
from
for
the
me.
record.
I got a legal opinion that any time Mr. DeSangro or North Star appears before this board, I need to make a public disclosure. That's why I asked him that question.
Inquiry should have been made before the hearing opened, Mr. Patamas. Thank you.
The answer is no, and hasn't been for many years.
You satisfied, Jerry?
Okay, he's not.
Is it your plan to go to the Board of Selectmen to
No.
the Select Board?
Select Board.
Excuse me.
To license the,
To license the cobblestone that is in the public right-of-way?
If you don't make it a condition, then no.
Well, it'll end up being a condition.
Just,
So, other than that, I think it certainly will fit into the neighborhood. It's pretty much the same house except for that addition. And it'll be just fine in the community.
Walk me through egress. Right now, you have the bulkhead in the back.
Yes.
Does it remain in the back?
Yeah, so the bulkhead's going in the same spot.
Okay.
If I can figure this out, I'll see if I get a
See that
proposed
on the
basement
site
layout.
plan.
I think it just says right there,
So if you look at the proposed basement layout,
in the basement.
you said, are we talking about egress in the basement?
Yes, correct. Yep,
So
thank you.
if you look at that, you'll see that we have that window well in the back. And that's it's called the scape well.
Yeah.
And basically what it does is it allows us to install a window that meets the requirement for emergency escape. And it's a window well that goes deep, that allows you to actually get out the window and get up in the case, there was a fire or something like that as emergency. That's
Yeah,
all.
no, on your previous slide, I didn't see the
Oh.
bump out for the bulkhead.
Yeah.
Okay. So so you are asking for a total of 4 bedrooms, not the 3 that was proposed?
Correct.
No further questions?
In the basement section, so now you have 2 bedrooms upstairs and
Yes.
three rooms that are not bedrooms in the cellar. One of them is, and one is an office.
Yes.
And what's the width on the door?
That looks like it is 2'6", so that'll be 30 inches wide.
That's not good. And then what's the width on the door in the workshop one?
That also looks like it's 2'6".
And we need 48, right?
Are we talking about accessibility?
Concern is going to be that these could meet the definition of bedrooms or could be used as such. So normally what the board would require would either be revised plans showing a cased opening, or it will be conditioned as such.
Well,
Just one of them has to be conditioned, I
Correct.
think.
okay, well,
You
my
got 5
proposal is 4
bedrooms.
bedrooms, and that's the bedroom in the office and the 2 bedrooms on the first floor.
Yep, but the workshop basically could be converted into a bedroom. It
Well,
meets the definition of bedroom.
I could change that language to unfinished. That's an unfinished room with mechanicals and a electrical panel in it that leads to the bulkhead. There's no insulation or finished walls or flooring in that room.
So we could just condition it that way and not make the door width any different? Can we do it that way?
And I have mechanicals, you should have a door.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's
the
fine.
door width doesn't matter if it's used as a mechanical.
No, it's a.
There is some language in the building code, and there's also some of the adjoining towns actually have language in their town code that is in addition to the building code that adds extra definitions to what constitutes a bedroom. And one of the primary ones is privacy. And in towns where you are trying to make an argument as to whether or not an enclosed room that meets the square footage requirement of what would be a bedroom is a bedroom or not, oftentimes the determining factor is privacy and whether or not you walk through that bedroom, that it's a public area that includes utilities, that it has more than one walkthrough. In this case, you could say that you're walking through it to get to the bulkhead, and because it has the furnace, the furnace and the water heater in it, and it's unfinished, I think it would be a stretch to define that as a bedroom.
Okay, I guess we can, I mean, the office even has a closet, so that could definitely be a
Yeah.
bedroom. And a shower and a bathroom. And so maybe we can just condition the workshop? I'm not sure if we need to have the doorway.
We can have some discussion. Do you have any other questions?
No, that's it.
Doesn't affect.
Just might want to add, I did hear in your narrative before I came up here about wastewater, and I have spoken to wastewater, and they have approved this. This project, I put an application in under the permit eyes, which allowed, the building department and other departments to comment on it, just to help me to look out for things that might come down the road. And she did. I did have a phone conversation with her, and she did also approve this.
We received nothing
This plan.
from them, yeah.
If you want, I can read into the record. I did actually. I thought it might come up, and this is what it says.
Do you have a copy of the email?
I can. You want me to email it to you?
Yeah, you could forward it to
I
the
do have a
office.
copy.
That would be
It's
good.
on the permitized dashboard, and I printed it out because I thought that it might come up. Because that's,
Do you have it? We could put it in the record,
you could, if you want me to read
Give
it,
us
I can
that,
read
yeah.
it into the record.
right? Is that?
Not increasing number of bedrooms to more than 4, so no flow neutral bylaw hearing required. House to be demolished, that's a mistake. Sewer line needs to be cut and capped before project so that debris does not get into the sewer line. Please call the DPW to request that a wastewater operator witness the cut and capping of the sewer line. Dana, grinder pump will not be relocated and will be protected during construction, but sewer connection will be modified. Please prepare a plan showing how the sewer connection will be modified and submit to the wastewater division with a sewer modification permit application and a $50 fee.
That would be great if you could give us a copy of that,
I
the record. It would be
I
good,
will.
I think.
So what we normally do is we just condition, if there's an approval, it would just be conditioned about wastewater a plan submitted, the cut and cap and so on to the wastewater commission.
Okay.
Do you have questions, Mark?
Yeah, it looks like the entry to this family room is 3 feet.
You mean the workshop?
No, the
entrance?
family room, before the workshop.
Yeah, that's okay.
So that's technically a 5th bedroom.
I don't understand.
The access to the family room is 3 feet?
It's open all here.
Well, the family room, that's one.
That's open all the way.
That's one
Mark.
big room that goes from the front of the house to the back, that's open to the staircase,
It's open all the way down.
and then down the hallway and towards the doors to the other rooms.
Opened it. Oh, that whole thing goes front to back?
Yeah, it goes all the way, yeah.
Oh, all right, I got you.
It is confusing with the.
Yeah, it is very confusing and then reading anything. What's the height in this basement?
9 feet.
9 feet, oh, very good. Now, so you're adding a 10 by 9 addition here,
Yes.
but on your application, it says you're reducing the size of the structure by 1.5 feet when you're actually increasing it by 90.
So
You
what?
got a mistake there, too.
So what that is that was the removal of the shed, and also there was an existing chimney stack and footing that's getting removed, and it's in the same spot where the addition's going, so when you
Add that
deduct.
together, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. No other questions?
Frank?
No.
Gary? Public comment? I have no questions. All right.
Board discussion.
Board discussion, yep.
Remember that.
No comment.
Frank?
No comment. I feel that this is a decent project and would be happy to just approve it with the conditions.
Mark?
No further.
My concerns, I think, can be conditioned, the questions were answered regarding wastewater. I think we can condition that appropriately. I am going to require a license agreement about the encroachments, or to be removed. I think we can condition the mechanical space appropriately to make sure that it doesn't convert, or if it does, it won't be a legal conversion. And, I don't know, personally, I think I like this project. I like to see that they're not blowing up to
No, I think
35
it's great.
feet.
It's a good project.
They're using, just going down underneath, so I think it's creative, so I like this, but I think we can condition this
I was just saying
appropriately.
that to him. It's a good project.
Whole house was
I agree. No,
completely
good.
renovated 10 years ago. It's kind of
No further discussion.
Tony?
I like this project as far as conditioning the mechanical room. Most mechanical rooms do have doors because of the nature of it, so I think the project is a great project.
How would the board like to proceed?
Motion to close?
Motion to close, made by,
Second.
seconded by Suzanne. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing is closed, no further testimony will be taken. Regular voting members on this. How would the board like to proceed?
Motion to approve with conditions.
Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Give that to Mr. Finneran. Findings.
Findings, let's see what we have here. It's in an RC, Little Pond overlay. It's a 240-10-2A, 4,800 square foot lot on a public road. I have existing is 20.8 over 36.9, proposed is 20.7 over 35.9. I have for height 15.8 on the main part of the dwelling and 12.6 on the addition.
I have it going to 16.2.
Oh, then I heard 16.2. The plan itself says 15.8, written in somebody's, like, pencil. But 16.2?
16.2 below.
I did write that down also.
Within a
'cause he
matter
said
of
that. Okay. The property's sewered,
4 bedrooms?
4 bedrooms. There is a comp sheet. They're right about smack in the middle. Really not increasing the non-conforming either. And that's, I think, all I have for findings.
Just put in that the proposal, it's essentially to keep the existing footprint. They are raising, R-A-I-S-E, not raise, R-A-Z-E, the existing structure and putting in a foundation underneath. It's in keeping with the neighborhood. There'll be no impact on sewer, no impact on traffic. The lot size is adequate and suitable for the project. There'll be no impact on views and vistas. One previous special permit about a pool that has been since removed.
I did forget that, sorry.
Testimony was in that the mechanical space will not be used as a bedroom, which is why there was a door.
But that can go into conditions now.
Yep. Nonconformities consisting of a front yard setback as well as lot coverage. And the special permit will bring the nonconformities into compliance with the zoning law. Any other findings? Conditions?
License?
Per plans.
Yep.
Hours of work. Only because it's Mara Vista, do we want to require the applicant work with the police just to come up with a traffic plan if need be? It's-
A side dead end.
It is.
Park, yeah.
Gets tight there, that's all. Just,
I had trouble finding a place to park, actually.
yeah. Applicant will obtain a license agreement regarding the encroachments into the town right-of-way, or will we have to remove?
Having
Removal of
comply
the
with
shed?
sewer.
Yeah. Any cut and cap, any referrals from wastewater concerning sewer hookup, applicant have to submit a plan that's acceptable to the wastewater commission concerning the project.
And maybe any other town departments, too.
Yep. Any other, town referrals?
4 bedrooms.
Not to exceed 4 bedrooms. Mechanical space is not to be finished. It may have a door.
Removal of shed.
Shed is to be removed for the testimony.
Select board on the,
Yeah, he did that.
The license agreement, yep. House to remain single-family use, no kitchen in the basement.
Do they have to come back for any future sheds?
Yes, any additional lot coverage has to be by special permit or revised permit application. We forget anything, Ashley?
No, I was just gonna say what Mark said, so I think you're good.
Good catch. Good catch. Anything else? Jerry, Frank, Mark? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's a vote, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Want those in here?
Yeah. That concludes our new hearings. Next, we have open meeting. We'll be voting the minutes of October 5, 2023. The minutes of October 19th and October 26th will be tabling. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of October 5? Yes.
Yes.
Any additions or corrections that need to be made? No. Is there a motion to approve?
motion to approve.
Give it to Mark, second. Give it to Scott. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Minutes of October 5th are approved. And again, 19 and 26 will be tabled to a later meeting. Next up, we have a request for insubstantial change and modification of comprehensive permit number 63-20, Herman, 24 Kennel Lane, Falmouth, with a vote anticipated. Ashley, if you would just give a brief recap of what's requested and where we are. This one?
No, the file's actually on the cart, so Mr. Heron had submitted an application to finish his unfinished basement, to include the bonus room, family room, and a bathroom. And the garage part of the basement is to remain unfinished.
Finishing 740 square feet.
Has everyone an opportunity to review the application?
I have, yeah.
And this is regular voting members on this. Frank?
Yes, I did look at it. Obviously didn't do a site inspection, but looked at the plans. Adequate.
So just remind the board that pursuant to the CMRs governing modification of comprehensive permits, it's very clear about what does and does not trigger. Just remind the board that we've had a similar request that actually had greater expansion of the space in the basement of this project that was approved as an insubstantial change.
Yep.
One of the things that I did discuss, we've slowly been allowing testimony to creep into this from applicants, which I don't think is proper on request for insubstantial change. If we find that the change is in fact substantial, it requires notice, and that's when a hearing can be opened. So, is there discussion on the request from the board at this point?
Motion to discuss, yeah.
Well, we don't have to motion, have discussion. What is the general feeling of the board about this request, based on the review of the applicants?
I think it's an insubstantial change.
Yeah, definitely.
It's less than what we've approved before.
I agree.
I agree.
Yep.
I think there are some conditions that we need to incorporate into the approval, so specifically that it remains single-family use, that there's not going to be any kitchen or cooking facilities in the basement, and that this is not going to be considered a separate dwelling area for the purposes of, this becomes a rental or anything, so that they can, applicant can get what they want, but we're making sure that we don't have a slow creep into a multifamily dwelling.
Okay,
So
makes sense to me.
I would propose those as conditions to a vote that this is not a substantial change.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I'll make a motion then that the board approve the insubstantial change as requested with additional conditions that it remains single-family use, that there'll be no kitchen or cooking facilities in the basement, and that this would not be considered a separate dwelling area.
No additional bedrooms.
No additional bedrooms. Thank you.
Second that.
Discussion on the motion?
Yeah,
Ashley, are
second.
there any additional conditions that we're forgetting on this? Okay. All those in favor for the approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's a vote. Thank you. Good night. Board discussion.
You could go on.
Granted, I guess they were sent yesterday, the first, but,
We require applicants to have all their submissions in 1 week before. The letters for 606, which I guess were submitted yesterday, but I didn't get to see them until 5:45 this evening. I'm just wondering if we should add on to some future discussion, putting some kind of constraint parameter or time limit on, these kind of submissions. I mean, it's pretty short notice, especially seeing how the letters from the abutters in this case weren't in response to any late submissions. I think it's kind of inconsiderate of our time to be submitting stuff a day and a half before and expecting us to read it. Quite honest with you. I mean, I saw the things at 5:45 and I didn't have time to read them and I didn't.
So I think that's a good idea to put this on as a future agenda item. I would agree that at some point,
There's got to be a cutoff.
I think well, I don't want to say no to an abutter or an objection or something coming in. However, I don't want the folks, and I don't want Ashley and Noreen having to flourish and sending out emails late night. At some point, they just need to be placed into the record. They can be referenced at the opening of a hearing that since we received 4 or 5 or whatever number of letters in support or oppositions, they can be summarized. But I do agree, at some point, too many emails.
These were Monday and Tuesday, weren't they?
There was one that came in, I believe, at the beginning of this week.
Yeah.
The first one was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they weren't like
Um,
today.
Well,
The
there
building
was,
commissioner's letter
it
came in
was-
yesterday. I don't know if
Right,
that was.
he was
There was a-
the last one.
It was yesterday.
yesterday, yeah, but yesterday also, one of the letters from the abutters, it wasn't the, well,
I think it was Jerry.
Just to
Gary
stay off
sent 2
specific
letters.
hearings.
He sent 2 letters, yeah.
I think quite I think we should put it on that, but quite honestly, anybody that feels they do not have sufficient information should ask for continuance for the reason that something was submitted late and they did not have a chance to review it.
Always a reasonable request.
Yeah, and that would be it.
It's a reasonable request. The only reason I would not want to make that a policy is that people could then submit something late, deliberately trying to trigger a continuance.
I agree.
So, especially, I think it's important not to ever stifle a butter's people's support or opposition to a project. Things could come up where someone planned to come speak, couldn't, or someone who was
Right.
going to write couldn't. So, But at some point, letters just need to be placed into the file, they can be referenced, summarized, but I don't think it's not fair to constantly just get an inundation of emails and require
Hours
Ashley to
before,
continue to
yeah.
send these things. At some point, there should be a cutoff. So they can be taken up when the hearing is open. Or people can certainly come and speak at a hearing.
That's true.
Do we have a, Noreen sends out some kind of a letter or instructions to everybody about our staking policy. Why can't we just add a paragraph about submissions to that? I mean, would that help?
That's about applicants, though. The applicant, it's,
That's
advising
right.
what an applicant has to do to get it properly before the board. Abutters receive notice, or then there could be something in the paper, or word spreads around a neighborhood, so.
Yeah, you're right, okay.
Again, I think we should have a discussion, at some point, we should decide at what point Ashley and the zoning administrator is no longer going to continue to forward them, just to merely put a summary saying, since the 72 or whatever cutoff is, we've received X number of letters, so many in for, so many against, so many with questions, and then we can have them
Should this
summarized.
be in the procedures? I guess we're discussing it. Should this be in the procedures manual?
I think,
It's
well, I
guidance
think,
to us.
well, we're not going to take a vote on this tonight.
No, I agree.
Merely discussing.
I mean, we could ask nice, just please get your letters into the board as soon as possible so they can be reviewed.
Why don't we mark this up for a specific discussion? It's not going to be on November 30th.
No.
Probably won't even be till next
Do
year.
it in January sometime.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Gonna be a
In the
long
meantime,
2005.
in the meantime, we can, just for those watching in FCTV land, we just would ask that abutters or people wishing to offer comments, submit them as far in advance as possible so they can receive the attention that they deserve.
Good point.
So we have different kinds of comments. We have, like, on one case, we may get a bunch of letters all saying the same thing.
Yes.
And that's one degree to consider. But then we may get a letter from an abutter who actually says something new that we should know.
Right.
And
And you never know.
so that you never know. So that's something we have to
Well, if
consider.
they want us to know, they should submit it in a timely
Well,
manner.
that's true.
But they don't know that.
Or I just heard it.
You just told them all.
Everybody watches this, Jerry.
God bless the
It's
town.
only the Bruins, they're watching us.
Only if they have insomnia.
Sure.
Anything else on board discussions?
No.
Board updates? Briefly, I'll just say, for the purposes of people watching, we did have our board retreat this past Saturday. I think it was somewhat informative. Some may disagree. But
Yeah, that was fine.
Will there be minutes coming out with that? I apologize.
There would be.
Okay, I'll wait.
Eventually, there would be minutes. You were missed, Jerry.
Sure.
We also had the town manager was present.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I
And,
think it was
President.
The town council was present, so we actually had a good discussion with both of them.
Yeah.
That's fine.
A select board member. Yeah.
That's
And our
fine.
select board, yes, our select board liaison.
And the French toast and the apple thing was present as well.
Once again, there was more food, there was enough food to feed 40 people, so.
No one saved me a croissant.
No one saved you any, Terry.
I'm sorry, but I did, but.
You ate it.
I ate it.
Future
Richard
agenda,
mixed up on that.
future agenda items, we'll get that at some point, December or January, the issue about submissions from abutters or other people. Anything else?
No?
All right, our next meeting will be held November 30th, 2023. Please note, 6 PM start time at the Lawrence School Auditorium, 113 Lakeview Avenue, Falmouth. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That's Mr. Finneran. Is there a second?
Second, yes.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Thank you.